right, so here is part 2 of the Xbox's response to the CMA remedies notice. Now, there are, I think, 5 or 6 parts to this entire thing. They're long parts, so I'm going to do them in different sections because reading through the entire thing in one video would take hours. So, part 2. The merger will result in relevant customer benefits. So right now, what they are doing is they are showing why these remedies or why this deal should go through and the benefits to it and why the remedies in terms of structural remedies don't need to be done. 2.1, the merger will result in benefits to customers in the form of lower prices, higher quality, and greater choice in a number of products in the UK, as well as greater innovation. The RCBs relate to console and PC games, cloud gaming, and mobile gaming. And if we remember here, RCB stands for relevant customer benefits. So I'm sure that will be used throughout this document, so just keep that in mind as I read through it. Now, this is interesting because it goes against everything Sony has said in their response. I mean, Sony said that it will result in higher prices for PlayStation and less choice of products and stuff and degradation of Call of Duty on PlayStation. Whereas Microsoft is saying that's not the case. We are going to give higher quality. We're going to give them more choice where they want to play, and the price could be lower. So they may end up lowering the price, I guess, if economies of scale, right? There are more people out there that are buying it. They're going to make so much money that they're going to be able to charge less and still be profitable, and then just try to expand Call of Duty out to even more people by reaching a broader range of audience if they're charging a little bit less than what they currently are charging. Console and PC games. Currently, Call of Duty is only available on PlayStation, Xbox, and Windows PC via Battle.net and Steam. Gamers on PlayStation have access to Call of Duty content and timed exclusives. As a result of the merger, gamers on Nintendo, Xbox, and PC will receive significant benefits. In addition, there will be benefits to the gaming platforms themselves, such as Valve, Steam, and Nintendo, which are also customers for the purposes of the RCB analysis. So, again, Nintendo being thrown in there. It's that 10-year deal that they mentioned, and then also NVIDIA GeForce Now, another 10-year deal that they made to create these behavioral remedies to try to get this deal passed within the European Union, European Commission. 2.3, the availability of COD on Nintendo will result in a greater choice of goods and services. Call of Duty is currently only available on Xbox and PlayStation, which it was available on Nintendo the last time on the Nintendo Wii U, which was Call of Duty Ghosts. Microsoft entered into a final agreement with Nintendo in February 2023 to publish Call of Duty titles on Nintendo post-merger. COD titles will be available on Nintendo platforms for at least 10 years. The agreement provides that Microsoft will develop and publish future native console versions of Call of Duty titles for Nintendo platforms for at least 10 years. So native console versions, which I think that potentially gets rid of the cloud thing where you would say that it can't run on the current Nintendo Switch, so they could use the cloud to get it to run on the Switch to meet this agreement. But they're saying here native console versions. So it's going to have to be on par. It's going to have to be the same type of version as the one on Xbox and the one on PlayStation. I mean, I'm sure if they're able to work their magic and get it to run on the Nintendo Switch, it won't have the same graphic fidelity, but it would play the same. It would look similar with just lower resolutions potentially, like we already get on all the games that are released across the different platforms right now across PC. Like that isn't something that I would say is giving a different version of the game depending on where it is. It's the same game, just optimized for that specific piece of hardware. Microsoft will publish future Call of Duty versions for Nintendo platforms on the same date as the release of those versions on Xbox console platforms and will maintain feature and content parity to the console versions published on Xbox console platforms, subject to Nintendo's policy requirements. And that's a key thing. We don't have that. And now, if you're a Call of Duty gamer, you don't have to worry about marketing deals coming in and just divvying up the game depending on the platform you're on. Your friends on PlayStation, they get extra content that if you're on Xbox, you can play with them. There's crossplay, but there's certain content you're not going to be able to access. You don't have to worry about that for the next 10 years if this deal goes through. The benefits will accrue within a reasonable time period. Making Call of Duty available on Nintendo platforms will increase the choice of Nintendo Switch users. Some redacted million Nintendo consoles are sold each year worldwide, of which, again, redacted million are sold in the UK. Based on third-party data, Nintendo has around redacted million monthly active users. It'd be awesome if we could see what those numbers are with their active users and everything from this document here. Call of Duty includes both free-to-play title Warzone and buy-to-play releases. The game engine that powers Warzone is mature and has been optimized to run on a wide range of hardware devices, ranging from the Xbox One console released in 2015 up to the Xbox Series X. And that's a great point. The Xbox One is an older console than the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch came out in 2017, yet Warzone is able to run on it. So they're saying since it can run there, it's going to be able to run on the Nintendo Switch. Warzone supports PC hardware with GPU cards that were released as far back as 2015, prior to the release of the Nintendo Switch. And that's a fact. I mean, that is true. You can play this game on older hardware than the Nintendo Switch. The Activision development team have a long history of optimizing game performance for available hardware capabilities. The parties are confident that in addition to Warzone, Call of Duty buy-to-play titles, example, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, can be optimized to run on the Nintendo Switch in a timely manner using standard techniques which have been used to bring games such as Apex Legends, Doom Eternal, Fortnite, Crysis 3 to the Switch. And that's, again, another point. They're actually using real-world examples here as to games that would have a similar look, a similar power capabilities, power grab from the console, if that makes any sense. What I just said there, as Call of Duty. And if those games can run, then the current Call of Duty should be able to run too. They'll just use those same techniques. Now, that's yet to be foreseen, whether that is actually going to translate into real world use and that actually will be able to be utilized on the Switch. We don't know. I mean, but basing it off of previous games that have, like Doom Eternal, for example, that can run on the Switch, you would think that they would be able to do something to get the game natively running on the Nintendo Switch. Activision estimates that this could be done within a period of around redacted months. So that would be awesome if they didn't redact that, because then we could see, let's say this deal gets approved in June. When would the Modern Warfare 2 be coming out on the Nintendo Switch, or where they would just wait until the release of the next Call of Duty, meaning they would have July, August, September, October, maybe 4 or 5 months to get the next version of Call of Duty running on the Nintendo Switch. The benefits will be substantial, even taking into account any technical limitations of the current Switch. Microsoft estimates on a highly conservative basis that the net present value of the benefits to Nintendo customers of having access to Call of Duty over 10 years is to be at least this amount in millions, which is redacted. By widening access to Call of Duty, the merger will have the added benefit of increasing the pool of gamers able to play the game, improving the cross-play functionality of the game, and enabling more gamers to play with their friends. That's a fact. I mean, the more people play it, bigger community, better cross-play, more pools to choose from when you're in matchmaking. And amongst console gamers, that's a good thing. Sometimes you bring PC in there, there's cheaters and all these things you have to deal with. But now with the Nintendo Switch, you'll have a bigger pool of console gamers if you only want to play with people on a controller on console to be able to do that. This efficiency will arise from and is therefore both timely and likely. It is also clear that the benefit is merger specific as Activision, and there's a bunch of redacted stuff in there that we don't get. 2.4, Microsoft's plan to make Activision content available on Game Pass day and date will increase customer choice and lower the cost of access, which is the main reason why people love Game Pass. More choice, cheaper, increases the amount of people that can access games, democratizes gaming, all of those types of things. As acknowledged by the CMA, the inclusion of Activision content in Game Pass day and date will also benefit Xbox and PC gamers, Call of Duty gamers in the UK. Indeed, the provisional findings acknowledge that inclusion of Activision content into Game Pass on a day and date basis is a potential benefit for gamers in the UK that would not arise absent the merger. This benefit would mean that gamers could access Activision content such as the most recent releases of Call of Duty as part of Microsoft's multi-game subscription bundle, where, absent the merger, only older games might have become available. So, great to hear. Recent releases of Call of Duty as a part of Microsoft's multi-game subscription bundle. So if you're wondering, are they going to put the game into Game Pass? Looks like they are going to be putting the game into Game Pass, because this deal will give that benefit of the newer releases into the subscription bundle. Activision will not place new releases in subscription services day and date. The CMA accepts that Activision will not make its most valuable games, such as Call of Duty, available on subscription services on the date of release, absent the merger. This reflects Activision's concerns regarding the potential impact on its buy-to-play revenue of placing any games, especially new games and day and date releases, on multi-game subscription services. First, placing Call of Duty on multi-game subscription, redacted. This part's redacted here, so I'll skip that. Second, popular content such as Call of Duty may attract gamers to a multi-game subscription, but gamers may easily switch to playing other games in the subscription catalog at no additional cost. Something I've talked about in my videos. You put Call of Duty in there, I mean, people are going to switch over, but they're not just going to switch over and play Call of Duty. They're going to get into the subscription service, and they are going to see that there's so much value and so many games out there in the service to play that they're going to definitely branch out, and it's going to help other developers. It's going to help third parties. It's going to help indies. It's going to help Xbox's first party content as well, because these games are all going to be checked out by a certain amount of people who sign up to Game Pass to play Call of Duty. And I think at the end of the day, PlayStation knows this as well. So they know that, yeah, sure, people may go over there and check Call of Duty out on Game Pass, but they're going to stay there after they check out Game Pass because of the value of the subscription service. And PlayStation would have to invest more into their subscription service to make sure that if gamers want to leave, it's going to be a tough choice because the value of PlayStation Plus will be as good, if not better, than Game Pass. That's what PlayStation needs to do if they want to compete with Xbox Game Pass. And they have first-party games. They got to put those in the service, and that will make it a very tough decision for a lot of people on what subscription service they want to go to. Continues here. By placing its game on a multi-game subscription, Activision loses the direct relationship with gamers and cedes control over the marketing, messaging, curating, and quality control related to its gamers. Activision therefore expects to be it's redacted there. During previous negotiations, Activision indicated that, okay, so redacted. The CMA accepts that other major publishers do not make their top titles available in multi-game subscriptions on release, given the risk of cannibalization effects. B, Microsoft intends that future Activision releases will be made available on Game Pass on the day of release. As is acknowledged in the provisional findings, it is likely that Microsoft will pursue a strategy of placing Activision's content on Game Pass on day-and-date basis post-merger. Again, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, that is great to hear. The parties agree that this is consistent with Microsoft's pre-merger plans and its consistent track record of placing its first-party content on Game Pass day-and-date. The CMA accepts that this will not happen without a merger. Of course, like Activision games aren't going into Game Pass day and date without the merger, unless there's some crazy, well, you never know. Maybe Activision's so pissed off that if this deal gets blocked, that Microsoft and Activision make a deal to get their games into Game Pass day one. That works out for both parties. So that could still be something, that maybe will happen. They'll have a lot of money to be spending. So you never know. The efficiency is merger specific. The source of the merger-specific benefit is that pre-merger Activision incurs of bringing its titles, including Call of Duty, to Game Pass, but does not internalize the full benefits of the decision, which will be to bring more users into Game Pass and increase engagement with other titles, generating benefits for Microsoft and third-party publishers, which I think, like, at the end of the day, that's good for the industry. If you're generating benefits for the other third-party publishers that are in your service because people are checking your games out when they were initially brought in by Call of Duty. Post-transaction, these spillovers will be internalized because the merged entity will be able to take a more holistic view, taking into account the positive effects on Game Pass overall. This effect is not just hypothetical, but it's rather proven by the way negotiations have unfolded in the past. The merged entity will always find it optimal to bring a title to Game Pass if the anticipated incremental revenue exceeds the cost of cannibalized sales through other channels. And we've a lot of talk about cannibalization of games because of Xbox Game Pass. And this to me makes tons of sense. Like, yes, there will be certain sales cannibalized because it's in a subscription service, but the return on investment, that's what they would look at. Is it greater to cannibalize a certain amount of sales, but still put the game in Game Pass because the deal that is being offered is just better overall? You'll have more money at the end of the deal rather than just having the buy to play model, which I think a lot of third parties see that depending on the deals that Microsoft offers them. This effect is a form of elimination of double marginalization and is also consistent with standard results in the economics literature, which show that negotiations over an asset will often lead to efficient trades failing to take place because the purchaser holds out for a lower sum and the seller for a higher one. The merger will cut through this dynamic and mean that Call of Duty will be brought on Game Pass on the day of release, something which would not happen otherwise. So if you've been to an economics class, I'm sure they've talked about those types of things. Microsoft is taking their school hats right now and explaining this to the CMA. some things that occur within the industry that I'm sure they don't fully understand or fully know about. The merger's specific efficiency will benefit consumers. As the CMA accepts this benefit, will mean that gamers can access Activision content such as the most recent releases of Call of Duty as part of Microsoft's multi-game subscription bundle, where, absent the merger, only older games might have become available for short periods of time. Contractual provisions will prevent Microsoft placing new Call of Duty releases on Game Pass before redacted. However, other Activision games will be placed in Game Pass earlier. The benefit will therefore accrue within a reasonable time period. Consumers have confirmed the benefit to the CMA, starting with that Microsoft's plan to add Call of Duty to Game Pass are pro-competitive and will lower the price of accessing games for consumers. And that's, to me, a bingo statement right there. It is pro-competitive. It is pro-consumer. Putting Call of Duty into Game Pass lowers access, and this deal doesn't go through, you're going to be forced to still have to pay the full $70 every single year for this game if you do want it on day one. I mean, a lot of people don't care. A lot of people don't have problems with that, especially if Call of Duty is like the major game you play every year. You spend $70, you get the game, you play it throughout the entire year. Not a big deal. But for a lot of people out there, they may just shy away from playing Call of Duty because of the price tag. And it takes, like, Call of Duty doesn't drop in price that fast every single year because it sells so much. But putting it into Game Pass will get a lot more people access to the game and being able to try it where they otherwise wouldn't have. Bringing forward release dates is a substantial benefit. A significant proportion of sales of newly released titles occur in the first few days after release. This shows that users strongly value being able to play games on the day of release. The hype always brings people in, even if you know the game is going to drop in price in like a month or so. The hype always gets people buying it on day one. Part E here. The addition of Activision content to Game Pass will reduce prices. So this is going to be interesting to read through because this is one of the main things Sony argued multiple times and continue to push, that Microsoft will raise the price of Call of Duty on PlayStation. One of the goals and effects of the merger is to expand Game Pass faster than in the counterfactual without the deal. As such, the quality adjusted price of Game Pass would fall post-merger. Specifically, the addition of new content to Game Pass is a reduction in the combined price of a bundle consisting of the pre-existing bundle plus a new title. Prior to adding the new title, the price paid by consumer wanting access to both the bundle and the new title for a year is the annual bundle price, so the price of the subscription plus the purchase price of the title. So annual bundle, I guess you could take 15 times it by 12 and add 70 to that, and that's the number you would come up with. After adding the title to Game Pass at unchanged prices, the price of the combination is reduced by the price of the new title. So yeah, I mean, they're getting kind of technical here in terms of how they're doing their calculation when they're saying reduce prices. They're saying basically people will just have to pay whatever the annual fee is for Call of Duty rather than having to pay for both. The benefits of this price reduction accrue for gamers who choose to purchase the bundle and play the new title. So if you buy Game Pass and you buy the title, there are several ways gamers may realize this benefit. Gamers who would otherwise have purchased both Game Pass and the title, but after purchase only Game Pass to access the combined content, receive a price reduction benefit to the full avoided price of the new title. Gamers who would have otherwise purchased only Game Pass and not the new title, but after the addition, play the combined content, also receive a price reduction up to the full price of the new title. Gamers who would otherwise have purchased only the new title and forgone the purchase of Game Pass, but after the addition of the title, choose instead to purchase only Game Pass, experience a price discount for Game Pass up to the full price of the title. Gamers who currently neither buy Call of Duty nor Game Pass, but who choose to purchase Game Pass after the addition of the title, receive a price reduction of up to the full price of the title. Microsoft conservatively estimates the net present value of the benefit over 10 years to be around a bunch of redacted numbers. So, okay, I can see what they're saying here. It's just kind of like saying, if it's in Game Pass, you're going to save some money. If you have Game Pass, you're going to save some money on the full price of Call of Duty at some point down the line, whether you buy Game Pass and then play Call of Duty when it's added, whether you buy Call of Duty and then play Game Pass later on. It's just that they did a bunch of things here, but they're not specifically saying that the actual price of the game itself will change. Like, would they decrease the price of Call of Duty from $70 to $60? They don't say that at all anywhere in this section. Game Pass prices will not increase as a result of the merger, and certainly will not increase to a point that offsets the substantial benefits of Activision titles coming to Game Pass on a day-and-date basis. This is especially so given Game Pass will continue to be constrained by buy-to-play. So the provisional findings are postulating that the price of Game Pass would go up as a result of the merger to a degree that offset the benefits set out above, but no mechanism is put forward to explain why this would be so. The integration of Activision and Microsoft will result in a classic elimination of double marginalization effect because Microsoft will be able to acquire these games at opportunity cost and will have incentives to distribute them more broadly and increase the output of Game Pass relative to its counterfactual level. In order to increase output, Microsoft will need to offer Game Pass at a lower quality adjusted price. It's interesting. This is exactly what Microsoft has done when it has added content to Game Pass in the past with, for example, the ZeniMax transaction resulting in additional content but no increase to Game Pass subscription prices. So that is good news. If you're a Game Pass subscriber, it looks like there will be no increase in Game Pass subscription pricing once this, or if this merger does go through, which you would have thought with the amount of value and the amount of quality within the subscription service, if they do increase the price, it wouldn't be surprising. And I think a lot of people would accept it. I think they would be okay with it if they increase it maybe $5 a month or something, or $3 a month. I think a lot of people will look at that and say, you know what, there's so many great games in here. There's so many first party games coming into the service now that we feel like the value is more than adequate to increase the price of the service. This is especially so that given Game Pass users are price sensitive, and an increase in the price of Game Pass would affect all users, including those that do not value or play Call of Duty. Game Pass subscribers can cancel at any time after a month of play. As Call of Duty titles are only released once a year, any impact would be short-lived, as gamers who exhaust their enthusiasm for the new version of Call of Duty within a few months will churn because of the higher price. As such, any price increase would be counterproductive as it would increase subscriber churn rates. This is entirely at odds with the provisional findings assessment of Microsoft's rationale for the merger. So they're just like trying to debunk anything the CMA has said in terms of prices increases of Game Pass and being anti-competitive in a way that Microsoft's going to have so much power that they're going to be able to control the price and then go ahead and increase it for the entire market. G, inclusion of Activision content in Game Pass will spur Sony to invest in its subscription offerings. And that's what everybody wants to see. I think if you're looking at this from the non-console warrior side of things, you're looking at this from more of the objective side, this deal will force PlayStation, will force Sony to invest more, to compete more, add more value to PlayStation Plus, which at the end of the day will just be good for all gamers. By enabling Microsoft to compete more effectively against Sony, the merger can also be expected to push Sony to improve its subscription offering to the benefit of its more than 46 million subscribers, which would in turn result in lower prices, higher quality, and a greater choice for console customers. So they're just kind of reversing everything that Sony has said there. This is reflected in the consumer feedback to the CMA, which stated that the merger will push Sony to innovate, such as by improving their subscription service. Indeed, Sony has already significantly improved PlayStation Plus. And you know what? Kudos to that, because it is true. Honestly, PlayStation Plus is not bad. There is a lot of quality content in there. Even their PlayStation Plus Essentials, the monthly games that come out on the lowest tier service, is pretty good. Like, it's good value for the $5 a month or how much it is to get access just to the essentials of PlayStation Plus. Far better than the Xbox Gold. So PlayStation Plus isn't as bad as some people think it is. It's just not the same level as the main Game Pass subscription right now. Like, the PlayStation Plus Premium is not as good as Xbox Game Pass. So I'll just start over. Indeed, Sony has already significantly improved PlayStation Plus in response to the announcement of the merger, introducing new tiers and adding additional content, which, I mean, that's the response to Xbox's growth and Game Pass's growth. Even without Sony first-party titles day and date, Sony's monthly prices for PlayStation Plus are higher than Game Pass, and that is true. But I think on a yearly basis, PS Plus is cheaper than a yearly Game Pass subscription. But you can only purchase Game Pass on a monthly basis right now. You can't make a yearly purchase of it, I don't believe. 2.5. The parties also note that the CMA has argued in the mobile ecosystems market study that allowing developers to obtain a larger share of the revenues from app sales will lower prices and increase incentives for investments in innovation to increase app quality and choice. The vertical integration of Microsoft and Activision will mean that commissions currently paid by Activision for sales on Xbox will be internalized, and the same logic implies that this will generate equivalent incentives, leading to analogous benefits in terms of increased innovation and choice. The availability of existing Call of Duty exclusive content on Xbox and PC will result in higher quality goods and services. Call of Duty is not currently available on equal terms on PlayStation, so it's great that they bring this up. Xbox and PC, due to agreements with Sony, has had in place since 2015. So they've had that marketing deal since 2015, and Call of Duty is not on equal terms across every platform. Following the merger, benefits which are currently only available to PlayStation gamers will be available to Xbox and PC gamers, which is a great thing no matter how you slice or dice this entire thing. At the end of the day, this deal going through is better for all gamers. Equal game, equal terms, parity, feature parity, more access. This is all good stuff. Sony has Call of Duty content and timed exclusives. One element of Sony's acknowledged content leadership is the fact that it has Call of Duty content and timed exclusives. These include exclusive content such as extra tier skips on the Battle Pass, the ability to access additional points, example through playing in party and exclusive events, combat packs, certain in-game character customizations, discounted console bundles, and exclusive early access to alpha and beta versions of the game. All stuff that's just not a good thing for the Call of Duty base. Following the merger, these benefits will be available to Xbox and PC gamers, and then there's a bunch of redacted stuff. Benefits to consumers and distributors of cloud gaming. Neither Call of Duty nor other Activision games are currently available on any cloud gaming services. Since the provisional findings were issued, Microsoft has entered a comprehensive agreement with NVIDIA, which provides for Activision content to be made available on GeForce Now post-merger. The key terms of the agreement are as followed. Unfortunately, it's all redacted, so we can't see any of the key terms of the agreement, which obviously they wouldn't be putting that out to the public right away. The benefit is merger specific. The CMA provisionally considers it likely that, and then redacted. However, it has also found that strong indirect network effects mean that publishers will not license their content to small providers given the costs involved. Activision has been clear that it would not enter into such a deal. Even if the evidence in the provisional finding shows that redacted information, following the signing of NVIDIA agreement, the merger will ensure that Activision content is available on multiple cloud gaming providers, thereby delivering significant benefits to consumers in terms of dynamic competition. See below. So, multiple cloud gaming providers. You would assume it'll go to, if PlayStation has a cloud gaming competitor, that it will be putting all of their big first-party stuff in, or maybe some big third-party stuff in. It will go there too. Benefits to consumers and distributors of mobile games. Microsoft will expand in mobile gaming and challenge the existing duopoly over mobile app distribution. The merger will result in benefits to customers in mobile game distribution in the form of lower prices, higher quality, greater choice, and greater innovation. This includes both end consumers and developers of native mobile games. Mobile gaming is key strategic rationale for the deal. So they talk about, I may not read through this entire section here because basically they're just talking about what they have said over and over again. This deal is about mobile. They want Call of Duty mobile. They want Warzone mobile. They want Diablo Immortals, all of that type of stuff. And I guess they say here, Activision's attractive content and experience with player engagement and acquisition will help to enhance the discoverability, searchability, and ease of user engagement of the new mobile platform. And they're looking to expand their presence in mobile against Apple and against Google. That's like one of the main things that they go over here. This next section, a new mobile game distribution platform will benefit consumers and developers. So this is cool because we've heard them, Xbox, saying that they want to create a new platform where you don't have to go to the App Store or Google Play to be able to pick up games. By creating a new mobile game distribution platform, the merger will deliver significant benefits to gamers and developers, which will be provided with additional distribution options outside of the existing mobile app stores. And then there's some redacted stuff. The CMA has identified that weak competition within and between Apple's and Google's mobile ecosystems is harming consumers and many small UK businesses, including through acting as a brake on innovation. imposing prices above a competitive rate and degraded user experiences. By enabling Microsoft to challenge the existing duopoly in mobile game distribution, the merger has the potential to create substantial benefits for UK consumers and game developers. Indeed, the European Game Developers Federation has expressed its clear support for the merger, owing in part to the fact that it will allow Microsoft to challenge Apple and Google as dominant mobile game market application stores. As noted above, the CMA has argued in the mobile ecosystems market study that allowing developers to obtain a larger share of the revenues from app sales will lower prices and increase incentives for investment and innovation to increase app quality and choice. And there are, in the last two sections here for this part, the process of dynamic competition has economic value in the present. While Microsoft's ability to break the mobile app store duopoly is not guaranteed, its entry attempt constitutes an RCB. The CMA accepts that the process of dynamic competition has economic value in the present, even where entry attempts may ultimately be unsuccessful. This is because where dynamic competition gives customers the balance to benefit from a wider variety of products or a future increase in competition, this represents value to customers even where there is some uncertainty that these products or services will ever ultimately be made available to customers. Moreover, the CMA accepts that existing providers such as Google and Apple may invest in order to protect future sales from dynamic competitors, and the removal of the threat of an entry may lead to a significant reduction in innovation or efforts by other firms. That was a mouthful, but basically, they want to get in there and they want to fight Google and Apple and they want to create competition, and this deal will help them do that. Finally, the RCBs are merger specific. Microsoft will not establish the Xbox mobile platform without the merger, as establishing a new mobile store will require a catalog of attractive mobile content as well as the capability to develop additional mobile content. Of Activision's gaming community are mobile gamers. Activision's native mobile content will therefore create natural on-ramps for players onto the Xbox mobile platform through in-game advertising, which it would not be possible for Microsoft to replicate absent of this merger. Example, given the restrictions with Google and Apple have imposed on their mobile ecosystems, the benefit will therefore accrue within a reasonable time period. So that was section 2. Basically, it's Microsoft going back against some of the complaints about the degradation of Call of Duty, the monopolization of the game, where they're saying we're going to distribute it to as many platforms as possible. It's going to be the same console version on the Nintendo Switch as it is across all of the different platforms. Everything is going to be parity, features, the content within the game, the release date, the price, all of those things are not going to change. Game Pass. The price of Game Pass is not going to increase because it doesn't make sense for them to increase it from a business perspective, because they believe it will churn out consumers after they've played Call of Duty and they will not continue to be subscribed going forward, and that they haven't raised prices with the ZeniMax purchase. Then they finish off and they talk about the mobile side of things, making that Xbox mobile store, something they continuously talk about. It is the main reason for this deal to them. And if this deal doesn't go through, they aren't even going to go out and try to compete with Apple and Google, because for them, they want those established, attractive mobile games that will automatically get people inquiring, interested in what this Xbox mobile store is, because there's already such a huge player base. So I will leave that there. That was the relevant customer benefits section of this, and we'll continue on in the next video with the next section. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.